Jones with my daughter Esther Jones. We're from Beacon Squad, and I'm here to tell you about my experience with the college applications and how we went about doing things.
So what do you remember about the process of us applying to college? Because you had to do it for me, actually. You had to do it for my two brothers. What do you remember about the process for each one of us? How did that go?
Well, enjoyable. I was so excited. It was as if I was going back to college myself. So I visited several colleges, and I knew you had to apply for at least 3 to 5 colleges to get to the right one you wanted and to get the subject you wanted. And then we sat down with you and we talked about it, see what we wanted to do. Then we went and we visited colleges. We had like a college day of visitation. It was so wonderful because I got to get dressed up, and go on a day visit as well. And it was just a beautiful experience. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember for me personally, one of the things that actually was kind of a difficult experience was writing those college essays. So one of the things that you want to do if you're serious about going to college and applying is making sure you feel pretty confident with your English language skills, and if you need to get a tutor, make sure you do that, because some colleges don't require essays, but a lot of them do, and whatever their requirements are, you want to make sure you feel comfortable with that. So definitely speak to an admissions officer or someone in their admissions department when you go, and make sure you understand what the requirements are for each college, because your parents can take you all you want, but you as the prospective student have to do the work to make sure that you get in.
And one of the things I also found was very helpful before we actually went to visit the colleges. I went to workshops that were being held locally that will tell you about the college experience, to give you information for financial aid. They give you understanding of how the whole system worked in terms of whether it's community colleges, four-year colleges, to trade schools and all those different things. So it really was helpful to have those workshops to go to. Once you went to those workshops, then you're able to then narrow it down to where you could feel comfortable going to.
Mm-hmm.
And also whether you wanted to stay on campus versus not staying on campus, and whether you wanted to have your child have the meals there, or they could stay nearby. And there were so many options to look into, but the workshops predated going to the actual college, and that was helpful. And they had special parent day when you actually went to the colleges, so the parents were then taken aside and they had a special day for them, so they would know how to feel comfortable around that college that you're thinking about sending your child to. So all of those things were really nice, and I love the experience. I particularly love the free food. Yeah. So tell me, how was it like starting college as a homeschooler?
I think it was pretty overwhelming, would definitely be the right word to use. Not as far as academics, I felt pretty confident in that, but just going into a new space and meeting new people. One of the things that definitely helped was being part of a co-op, because there is a little bit of a stigma that homeschool children are unsocialized. So what you want to do is, as a parent, try to socialize your child as much as possible by going to co-ops, having field trips, adventures with other people. And what you can even do, what my lovely mother did for us, is go to colleges and take college classes for auditing them, and then you can use them as part of your high school credits. We did that with some different classes on Africa and French classes and things like that, music classes, because that helps to just feel more comfortable with a college setting, as well as being able to interact and have that socialization, so that it does feel less overwhelming. But it was definitely an overwhelming process. Just when you're there, all of a sudden there's all these new people. There's people, especially I started going to HAC, which is a 2-year college, and there's people from all around the world. There's people who are in their 50s going to college. There's people who just finished high school, and it's just kind of an overwhelming experience to have so many people from so many different walks of life. If you are in a 4-year college and you're just starting with that, sometimes what can be overwhelming is that dorm life, and you just want to make sure that you are mentally prepared by doing all these things that we just talked about in the first step. Another thing you want to be prepared for when you're starting is making sure you have all your resources. So whether that's all your books, or if you are studying music or art, all of your physical resources, you want to make sure that you're ready with those. And it can be a little bit overwhelming again because those can be very expensive. So if you can find sites that have a lot of those materials and things for secondhand, then it'll be easier to get started because you're not spending so much money out the gate, because you're already spending enough on tuition, so we have to find some places to save somewhere else. One of the things that I did was stayed at home and drove to college, so while I did spend money on gas, I didn't have to spend money on actually staying at college, because you can get a lot of scholarships, but not all of them will cover your like food or housing. They'll just cover tuition, so you want to try and save in as many ways as possible. Another thing that helps when starting college is just making friends with your teachers, because you want to be able to go to them at any point, because when you were homeschooled, your teachers were your parents, so you could feel pretty comfortable going to them for help. And if you take the time to develop those bonds with your teachers in school, a lot of them can kind of end up becoming like second parents to you, and you can go to them to talk about anything, not just school related issues. So do try to make friends with your teachers and your peers as well, but that'll be really helpful when you're in that environment. So that's, just a little bit about starting college. It can feel overwhelming, but if you take those steps to get to know people, get all your materials, then that can help just lessen the anxiety and make your experience more enjoyable.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
How did you feel when we were starting college?
Well, unlike other parents who would leave the children at the college and go away and the tears would drop and all of that, I didn't really have that kind of experience, because we walk with them into this role as well. So for Esther, we went to the college that she was going to, and whilst she was doing a day program, I was with the other children. We were doing another project as well, so they got to know what's going on. And it sounds strange, but it was as if I myself was going back to college, and I was so excited about it. It was just wonderful. So while she was there doing whatever she had to do, we were nearby doing something else, and then we'll meet up again.
Right, I should mention at this point, both for me and some of my brothers, when we first started, we were fairly young, so our parents were driving us to school. So instead of driving us and dropping us off and spending all that gas back and forth 3-4 times, they would just stay on campus. And especially with some of my brothers, you would do that, right?
Yeah.
Then you could audit classes too.
Right, and so what I did was I had to audit some class, which was great, and then I was told that I had to go and get a university ID card, and I ended up getting a university ID card, but then after a while we made sure they were all settled in and felt comfortable, and then move on. And yes, they were fairly young, and we just kind of nurture things. And so with the college experience with the third child, it was to see, do you like this, do you not like that, and we found the footing strong enough, and then we can just kind of like ease out of it. But it was a wonderful time for me. I gained a lot. I like I said, it was as if I was going right back to school again. The whole homeschooling experience was so wonderful. It's like I went all the way from kindergarten to 12th grade, and then to college, and then saw graduation. It was like, wow.
But without the stress of those exams.
Yes, thankfully I did not have to do exams. Yeah. So life after college as a homeschooler, it probably will go both ways. What was it like for you?
At that point, it was like I had gone through college, so I wasn't really thinking of myself as homeschooled anymore. I was thinking I finished college. what was really cool was during my time in college, I did actually meet a few people who had been homeschooled themselves, and we could like share our experiences. And some of those people are still my lifelong friends today. But it was more like we just kind of went out into the professional world and started working. But then we were able to do things like we're doing right now, which is to be able to encourage other homeschooled families that yes, you can go to college, you can get your high school degree, you can go to college, you can be successful, you can graduate at the top of your class. I think I was second, and my other friend who was homeschooled was first. And so we, you can succeed, and sometimes you can succeed better because you're used to independent study in homeschooling, and there's a lot of that in college. There are some classes where basically we did everything ourselves. We're like, do we even need the teacher? But that was more during college, and then like I said, after, it's like just you're professional now, you're working professional, and either you can start your own family if that's the direction that you're being led, or you can start working, or you can take time off. When I finished college, I definitely took a month, 2 months, and I just kind of sat at home and just readjusted to not having to go to classes every day. But one of the things that I still do, which I love to do, is be part of the college life at my alma mater. And you can do this as well because it's a great way to encourage other people who are still coming up through college, whether they're from homeschool background or not. For me, it's being part of the community band or other music ensembles that are offered at the college, because I just love to play, and it helps me to enrich myself as a musician in my career. So I'm still learning, and I've taken other classes, summer classes, things like that. And that way, when I speak to other people, I can give them the resources and say, hey, you can do this at this college, and hey, you can do that at that college. So like I said, you just kind of end up being more of a professional adult person in your life now, but it's really cool to know that you have all the skills you need to be able to get through. And for you, how did it feel knowing that you had completed 21 years? I think there was a special project that you did about that.
It was fantastic. One of the joys of homeschooling was you had to do an evaluation every year, and the evaluation was literally done in a way where, for me, it was like a journal. I would write everything down, put it together, and at the end, I just went and I gathered it all together, and I thought, you know what? I can't let all these 21 years go to waste, and put it into a book, and we have it published. It's called 4 Jewels in My Crown, and it's just like the children and my husband and all of us, how we brought the children up in this beautiful book. It's well laid out and illustrated. Almost like a scrapbook kind of setup, but it's on Amazon. You can get it, and Esther actually helped me get it all put together, and so it's out there on the internet. You can always go and find it.
That was your after college project to encourage
other homeschooling parents who were coming up. One of the things I also found about the after project was, just like you go and get a job, well, I mean, now I was empty in the nest, and what do I do? So I had put my career off, even though I was still working with my career because I'm a landscape architect. We did gardening and other fun stuff with Homeschooler, and I volunteer as a master gardener with the Penn State and whatnot. Well, I was literally like no years had passed. I was able to get right back into my landscaping, start up my little landscaping business, and I still have it to this day. So while they were working in their career and getting their jobs, I was able to go right back into my career and start up my work. So it was wonderful, and I have to admit, it's just like I became very young again, and it was just such a beautiful experience. I couldn't have done it better if anybody had said to me, do this. And when we first started homeschooling, I didn't even know what that was about. I was like, homeschooling, what's that? And all of that's inside of the book. So I really enjoyed it, and I really, really like the fact that when you went from one stage to the next, it's like every day was different. You had new ideas that came up every day. You had new you were constantly being kept fresh. You were not stagnant, and the homeschooling were moving as well. So subjects will be taught like it would have been taught in the ancient days. Well, it's the same subject, but in a way where the mind would be able to comprehend it and make life easier for the person. So as you move with the class, you move with the knowledge that was being developed. So going to conferences every year, learning new things. And those same things were the same practices I was able to carry into my working work. So I was not stagnant. Some people feel like it was, be stagnant. No, I wasn't. I actually was able to apply it to the new job, and it was put on my credential, and actually it really gave a lot, because here was a person who was fresh. I couldn't believe it. It's like I could say I've been in my career for 30 something years simply because I was literally still doing it, even though it was on a voluntary basis or it's in a teaching basis. It was still my job, and now I was now going to launch into where I would be getting income in a different sort of way.
Right,
Yeah.
and one of the things for you particularly is when we had finished and we were moving on, because you had spent all that time going to college with us, basically, you've built those connections yourself, and so those are some of the places that offered you some teaching jobs in your chosen career of landscaping.
Right.
You were able to
Right.
do some adult classes, and
Right.
so
Yes.
you also moved
I was
back
able
into
to,
that professional
I
world.
was able to teach in the community college landscaping, how to design your own homes using native plants and stuff like that.
Mhm.
And so I had the background for that, because I had hands-on experience for all those years experimenting with these plants, seeing the nature of it, how it grew, and then doing the design work as well. It's just I never lost any hours and days, and I wasn't put behind. Yeah.
All right, well, thank you so much for watching this video. Be sure to check out the links in the description down below, and feel free to get on the Facebook page and shoot us any questions you have about homeschooling, going to college, trying to understand that. There's so many different paths that you can take to go to college. It doesn't have to be just 4-year, it doesn't have to be 2-year. There's all sorts of online options you can do as well, and we will be happy to help you out answering any of those questions. So as I said, shoot us an email, go to Facebook, check out the links in the description down below, and leave a comment on the YouTube page, and we will be sure to help you. Bye from Eagle Mom Squad.